Don't laugh, Diz. Hello and welcome to episode 67 of the Player 3 podcast. I'm your host, Luke Croft. Alongside me, we have the always visually stunning Larry Hunt.
Hi.
And over here on my other side, and by that I mean the same side,
Yes.
just slightly closer, Dizzy, that's already his nickname, Cooper.
Hello, hello.
And we are the Player 3 podcast. We get together every Monday, talk about video games, push this out on youtube.com/player3podcast. Sorry about the last couple weeks' episodes. Last week was an editing nightmare, and I was having a fight with YouTube. And then the week before that was just the YouTube fight. I don't know what's going on, but we'll get it all fixed, worked out, all that.
It's probably the hacker known as 4chan.
Probably.
Him again. Who is
What
this
article is that?
4chan? I'm yelling. That's why I'm staying far away from it.
What article was that?
I can't remember.
Some outlet referred to 4chan as the hacker 4chan.
It's a while back.
So, anyway, yeah, over on youtube.com/player3podcast, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher. Leave us a review. Forgot to copy and paste the review in again. Oh, well. How are you guys doing? You guys tell me how you're doing, and I'll find it on iTunes.
I have a full luscious beard again, so I'm great.
You are looking quite handsome, and you did your hair up today.
Yeah.
No offense, but I prefer you with the hair done, not undone.
I've gotten that from literally everybody. Ever. Like, the first time I got my hair cut like this, we went to visit family in West Virginia, and my wife's family was like, "You look way better like this." Like, thanks.
Hey, man, I'm really glad you're not super friggin' ugly anymore.
Hey, man, we thought our daughter could do a lot better. Now we realize she can only do a little better.
Oh, beautiful.
All right, this is from Dad of 5 with a bunch of numbers after it. This is a great podcast. The guys know what they are talking about most of the time.
Most of the time.
Did he write that?
Or did dot, dot, dot most of the time?
No, no, there was no ... But he said they know what they're talking about most of the time.
Most of the time.
So thank you.
That's accurate.
Dad of 5. It sounds like a horrible life.
He was he's probably thinking back to the time that Ben was arguing that Tomb Raider was an open world RPG.
Oh yeah, Ben's not here today, so we can make fun of him.
Yeah.
Wait.
He died. He got hit by a speeding semi-truck.
Let's talk for a moment. Well, first of all, leave us an iTunes review. We'll read it out on the podcast. But let's now talk about our latest obsession in a new segment called What Are You Playing? I just came up with it.
But who's going to do the jingle?
Well, next week, Ben will be back. You got one for us, Larry? You have it in you? What are we playing?
That's good.
I don't know.
Just scared mumbling. I love it.
I'm bringing this up simply because we may do this every week. You know, just a little brief overview of what we're playing at the moment. But we've been playing a lot of Minecraft as of late.
Yes.
An inordinate amount of Minecraft.
Last night we were on till almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Saturday night we were on till 1:30, and I was very upset because I had to be up at 5:30 the next day.
Oh, I wasn't a part of that one, so I slept well.
You guys, did you get on Friday?
Yes.
Did we all get on Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that's when it started. Is that
No,
when it
no,
started?
because you guys got on Thursday as
Okay.
well. What was I doing Friday? I watched the Masters.
Wait.
No,
No, I
Thursday
don't
you
think
didn't play because it was a date night,
I
right?
didn't play Thursday because it was date night.
We didn't get on Friday then.
Yeah, because Ben was on his trip.
That's right.
So
That's
it
right.
started on Wednesday.
Started on Wednesday. We played till like 2 in the morning. You guys played Thursday till when?
2 in the morning.
Didn't play Friday. We played Saturday till 1:30, then last night till 2:30.
And mind you, we're starting at like 8:39.
It's one of those things, like the fact that only one, the person that creates the world has to be in there at all times. It really was like last night, and I think you said it was this way the other night, where it was just like, all right, I just want to finish up this one thing, and then we'll get off. And then by the time you're done with it, somebody else has started something, and they're like, let me just finish this real quick. And it's just this vicious cycle, and it never lets you go. And all of a sudden, it's the witching hour, and you're watching that guy who sells the fancy knives on HSN.
And we're not even doing anything like cool. Ender dragons, what's that? We don't know. We're just building houses.
Whoa, spoiler alert. Yeah. Well, that to me, that's all Minecraft has ever been because I've only played on creative mode. But the gathering and the bartering and the trading and the just going over to Larry's house and taking whatever he's got in his furnace without telling him.
And burning your house down.
Yeah, last night I
Yes.
gave Larry the joy. I said, "You want to burn my house down?" He was like, "What? What? Are you serious?"
It was a great honor.
Truck
And then how did Ben's house catch on fire?
I really don't know.
he built something too close to lava, I think.
I wonder
just
if he
a
suspects me in it, but I really didn't do it.
That's why I made my house very far away.
I can still get there. I mean,
It's mostly made out of snow.
actually, after you left, someone went over and checked your house out and said, "This house is made entirely of snow." And my first question was, "I wonder if it can be burned to the ground."
Melted to the ground.
It can't. I'm kidding. I didn't try.
Well, I mean, does it not?
Andrew and I got in a fight after you left. He kept dumping water in the top of my giant. I grew a massive tree, like massive, like 4 trees together. It just shoots up. And then I planted another tree on that tree that was massive and made this great tower. And Andrew keeps dumping water on it.
Well, isn't it revenge for like the jack-o'-lanterns?
I
That wasn't even
I
a
staked
problem.
jack-o'-lanterns
That
by
wasn't
his
even a
house.
problem.
Yeah. I put some pumpkins by his house. So he dumped water on my tree. So I dumped water in his house. So he punched me in the face. So my dog bit him. So he tried to kill my dog. So I shot him in the head with an arrow and killed him. And he got upset.
Wow.
All of this happened in real life. This isn't even on the game. You just drove out to
I missed
Tennessee.
the best part.
All right. Oh my gosh, that one came up on me. I'm sorry I coughed all over you.
It's
Man.
okay. It's okay.
All right, well, let's get the show started like we get every show started with the releases of the week. All right,
Last part of it.
releasing on both consoles this week. Do you hate your life? Dark Souls 3 is coming out.
I've never played it.
I played Dark Souls 1. I played Bloodborne. They're just not for me, man. I get too frustrated too quickly. And those games require a lot of patience that I do not have.
Mainly because you're not a doctor.
Thanks, Dad.
That was good. That was good. That was good. I've never played it, but I watched a dude actually beat one of the harder bosses with a Rock Band drum kit.
I remember
For
that.
him to side roll, he was like,
It's too much rolling, too much strategy. It's one of those games. It's like I prayed for God to give me patience, and He didn't give me patience. He gave me Dark Souls 3.
Or Revelation, they cry out for death, but death does not come.
No, death comes over and over and over again. And I actually read an unpopular opinion review about Dark Souls, and I don't necessarily say I agree, but I sympathize with the sentiment. He's like, Dark Souls isn't hard in and of itself. It's just got a mechanic that's designed to appear to be hard, where you just are killing the same enemies over and over and over again, because when you die, you have to go back to a checkpoint and they respawn, or if you save, they respawn.
but isn't that the mechanic of, the vampire game that, what was that called? Came out for the PS4. You were all about it.
Bloodborne? Yeah,
Yeah.
same people.
Okay.
It's from Software. It's Dark Souls-esque. And so, yeah, it never been my thing, because I play video games to relax. I think that's why I like Minecraft so much. I just dug a hole in the bottom of my house for an hour last night while we just talked about life.
Yeah. It's the game where there's nothing going on, but there's everything to do. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And we went on that big journey, and Andrew and Ben just kept pressing their luck. It's a blast. It's an absolute blast.
I found everything I needed on that journey.
Even diamonds.
And then fell into a lava pit and died.
Empty Vial says, I played Dark Souls 2, and Bloodborne. All very fun. But then again, I'm good at games. I've just come to determine this. I write about games for a website. I now am employed at GameStop. I run a video game podcast. I suck at video games.
1v1 me, bro, at Dark Souls.
You can.
Really?
Yeah, there's an online.
I thought I was making a joke. That's cool.
So now you
That
have to
is
buy
neat.
Dark Souls and 1v1 Empty
I'm
Vials.
not buying it. I'll borrow yours.
Empty Vials, buy us Dark Souls 3, we'll 1v1 you, and then you can prove to us.
Do I get some cool discounts at your place of work now?
I didn't get that far into the conversation. I didn't want to go into the interview and be like, so hey man, how many free games do I get as a signing bonus? I'm like, I'll just take what I want.
No.
Do we have a new follower, or is that left over? It's a fun word.
Vatamart 85 followed us last week.
Vatamart.
Yes.
It's like It's like a knockoff of Voldemort.
Don't say that.
Epidemic HD says he's playing Dark Souls 1 right now. So yeah, Dark Souls 3 coming out. I've heard it's not as punishing as the other ones, but it's still really hard. And then releasing on PS4, Ratchet and Clank, bringing that series back.
Prove it.
There's a movie coming out in a couple weeks to go along in conjunction with it. I kind of want to see this genre of game, like the character platformers, come back. So
That's my wife's favorite genre.
Mm-hmm.
She loves it.
So is she a Banjo-Kazooie fan?
Never played Banjo.
Spyro.
Crash Bandicoot?
Spyro, Crash,
Mario 3?
cameo elements of power.
Mario 64?
I think so. I don't know.
There was another one very similar to Ratchet and Clank, wasn't there?
Yeah, crap. What's it called?
Let's not kill a bunch of time about it, though.
It's the Naughty Dog one. Jack and Daxter. I don't know how similar it was. It just seems similar. Empty Files has never played Spyro, Ratchet and Clank. Spyro very little. I don't know what that means. Ratchet and Clank hype though. A lot of people are excited about this coming back, and it's one of those genres that it's gone away for so long. Like,
Well, Crash is coming back too.
yeah,
What?
no, it isn't.
You being serious? You haven't seen this?
Crash isn't coming back. I would know if Crash is coming back.
Google it right now.
I'm gonna guarantee you anything you've read about it has been a lie. It's been a rumor. No, really. I know what you're talking about. They've all been rumors because Naughty Dog doesn't own Crash anymore. Activision owns Crash, and Activision has no interest in.
Wait, so why do they get the rights if they're not going to use it?
I don't remember how the whole acquisition began, but I'll look it up right now, man. We'll pause this show for me to look up Crash Bandicoot PS4, and I know that all of these are rumors.
Well, as we're doing that,
Yeah, it's all very iffy. You're right.
Just to continue some sort of talking. So my wife, she's always wanted a dog, and I don't really like dogs. But she was looking at these very expensive Yorkies, thousands of dollars, and I was like, no, we can't do that. So we met in the middle, and we decided to foster a dog. And it's actually a 22-pound Chihuahua. This thing is gigantic. And we're trying to figure out a way to have it lose weight. And this thing is going to die soon if we don't do something about this. It's insane.
Are you saying that you're going to kill this dog?
No, it's going to die from the heart disease that it already has.
Okay, so it's just gigantic.
It is huge.
Let's make a milkshake bet.
Chihuahuas are supposed to be 22 pounds.
What are we making
about
about-
when the dog's dying?
By the end of 2016, there will be an official announcement of Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, I'll take you on that. It's
All right.
not happening.
All right.
Okay. Seriously, this is the milkshake bet literally everyone has been making over the last 4 years.
You're full of crap because nobody else makes milkshake bets.
Oh man, yes, McCoaz. Me and Diz are playing through the Division. Maybe we'll talk about it in the after party lounge. But anyway, so yeah, Ratchet and Clank coming back. Crash Bandicoot isn't. Those are your releases of the week. Oh, we have to shake our milkshake bet, by the way. Boom.
There it is.
The milkshake, if you will.
We're even on milkshakes, right? I've squared away.
Yeah,
with
we're
you
even.
winning. But you're about to owe me one.
Does anyone still owe me one?
Probably Ben.
Yes, Ben still owes me a milkshake.
Seth made good on it, right?
Oh yeah, Seth, instead of buying me a milkshake, bought me Japanese.
So let us know in the chat. By the end of
Way better than
2016, do you think that we're going to have a Crash Bandicoot official announcement?
If there is, and it's a PlayStation thing, are you going to get a PS4?
No, I wasn't that into Crash.
Okay.
I don't like games that force me to move at a certain pace.
Okay.
Didn't Crash do that a lot?
Kind of, in a way. Like when you were being chased by a rock, I think it did, right?
I thought it happened like all the time. Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Oh, yeah, I think it was all the time.
Maybe my dad didn't have my controller plugged in. That's what I'm kidding.
He was playing it. He was playing it.
I just can't slow down.
All right. Well, let's move on to our newest. Hold on. Here come some answers. Epidemic HD. No way. Too many other games that Sony will focus on. But Sony doesn't own it. That's the thing. Sony doesn't own this property. If they were going to make the game, they'd have to go buy it back. If it's going to get made, it's going to get made by Activision because they own the IP. So A new Crash would be fun, McCoes says. Empty Vial says, I don't think we'll have a Crash game because Crash was the poster boy for PlayStation for a long while. And I think they're too afraid of it happening again, and they don't want that to happen.
He was the poster boy. He was like the Mario for a while.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though. Especially, like, they're not going to give this game back to Naughty Dog, obviously. Naughty Dog has grown up. They've moved on. Uncharted, Last of Us. That's the, like, we're not going to go back to a character 3D platformer.
What if Naughty Dog gets the property back and turns it into a gritty, realistic Crash Bandicoot?
he's smoking real life cigarettes. Pre-order Crash Bandicoot and get a pack of Marlboros.
He's just putting them out in enemies' eyes. Great.
All right, well, let's move on to our newest segment, Topics.
That's it. That was it.
Ben's not here to do the jingles if this is your first time watching us. We have a guy who sits over here. He's the disembodied voice that we used to make fun of other podcasts having, and he sings
We got
on.
one.
So we got ourselves one, a shiny new one over at the Nelson Ford.
We had an ironic one for a while where we just yelled off screen, kind of, but now here we are. We've jumped the shark.
Yep.
We've already jumped the shark. We're not even at episode 100 yet.
Larry,
Talk to me.
give me your first topic.
In the order that they're written down?
Whichever you want to go in.
All right, so probably the most hilarious thing that I've seen in gaming in a while. And if you throw this article up, it has the new one first and the old one second.
Okay,
so
I'll
be
scroll
aware.
to the second one.
So you may have seen last week, maybe it was a couple weeks ago. I don't know. Time moves fuzzy when you're living in a Minecraft world all the time. But
It's been months. We've been through so many days. I think it's 2017, and there's not a Crash Bandicoot out yet. So I owe Luke a milkshake.
so Overwatch released some character poses. Some people saw Tracer's pose where you view her from behind. They felt that it was overly sexual and demanded that Blizzard change it. Blizzard doesn't really change things. It's this one.
Okay.
Blizzard doesn't really back down from these things as far as I've ever seen. So I was really surprised when they agreed that, all right, you know what, you guys are right, we're going to change it. And then this past week they released the new pose.
So hold on. Walk us through.
Okay.
What's this pose?
That's right. Podcast listeners can't
Yeah.
see. All right, so it's just her standing. Tracer, she's standing there, just holding her guns. She's just standing there, really. I didn't understand how this was a super sexual picture. Her pants are tight. All right, I get it.
But this is literally 75% of women on Instagram.
she's
If you
just
open
standing.
up Instagram right now, you will see a picture that looks almost exactly like this winning pose.
Right. So then they change it to this new photo. They're like, all right, we're going to change it for you guys. Where she is, some would argue, mimicking this old school pinup girl poster. She's standing up on one leg, has one leg jacked up.
And the pants are still completely skin tight.
Yeah,
it hasn't
with,
been changed.
with the butt crack cleavage still in full view.
In fact, even
some
more
might
shaded.
argue even more.
It's more shaded.
So Blizzard got flack and just said, "Screw you guys. Here's what we're doing."
Larry can't get it back.
I love it when people stick it to the man. And
Yeah.
then it was great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, and I always kind of struggle with these debates of like, where is the line and what is it? But I also come from the frame of mind, and I think we talked about this with Street Fighter V, that the people that have the problem with this are not the people that are going to buy these games.
Yeah.
So let the market decide. And if you really think it's going to affect the sale of your product that much, and your main focus is on the bottom dollar line, which, let's face it, almost every single company, that's what they're concerned about. Make the changes necessary. But this is Blizzard playing. There's no water left in this. This is Blizzard playing exactly to Blizzard people.
Yeah.
Like, this is them knowing who they are, what their culture is, and just being like, we're going to pander to the people that we know are buying our game.
And I'll say, I think there is a problem with things being over-sexualized in our culture, and I would like to see that change, but I don't think forcing companies to do things is the way to do that. And in this particular situation, like I said, that initial pose, I'm like, what is super sexual about this pose? This whole thing was ridiculous, and I like that Blizzard made fun of how ridiculous it was.
It's discriminating against the people who don't have butts, Larry. It's those people.
Empty Vial says,
You don't.
but in reference to...
Was it two T's?
No. He said it's more in flavor of the character because she's a little more wacky than sexualized, whereas the character in the game, Widow, is very sexualized. That was the most compelling argument for Blizzard, and they said they wanted to reevaluate Tracer's pose and make it fit her character more. And I feel in the new pose, she's being much more playful than sexual. You are sexual, and I'm not talking to you so much, MP Viles, but people who look at that and think it's sexualized, you are sexualizing it. Like,
She's standing there.
yeah, her backside is to you. So there is a whole half of a woman that is sexualized just inherently, like is what I'm getting from the response of it. And it's like, well, what angle could she be at where this wasn't? And to me, it's just
Yeah, and it's not like you see comic book posters and movie superhero posters where like the girls are like standing in such a way to really draw attention to certain. This wasn't that. It's just she's just standing there.
she was doing the over the shoulder pose. We've all taken that prom picture.
If we were invited to
How
prom,
many proms have you been to?
Huh?
How many senior proms have you been to?
This year?
oh, that's a creepy joke, man. I'm not comfortable anymore.
Oh, hold on. Let me put this picture up for you again.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. Epidemic HD said shares my sentiment. That isn't sexual. She is standing there in all caps. If she's wearing a bikini bottom only, then maybe. Whatever. I mean,
People don't stand in bikinis.
all right.
They're for swimming, dummy.
Let's move on to you. Let's
gosh.
check out your topic here.
So, it's another Steam topic. It's like the PC day.
I know we never talk this much about
We
PC
don't.
gaming.
We don't. IKEA has just released a virtual reality app,
Woo!
which is very interesting to me because essentially it's to help you look at their products by opening up drawers and looking in cabinets and all that stuff to help boost their own sales. And we have talked in the past about all the ways VR can be used in a non-gaming way, such as the museum tours and going to live events, and it's cool and all that stuff. But for some reason, this just kind of irks me. I feel like we're in a day where it's very, very difficult to dodge being force-fed advertisements and stuff like that, and especially when it's used in major media outlets such as a video game style and in movies. Like that's why I hated the Man of Steel movie, because it felt like a Subway ad the whole way through. It really did. Like the fight with Zod was just Subway signs everywhere.
But they were never destroyed. They're like cockroaches. In the nuclear apocalypse, two things will stand: cockroaches and $5 footlongs.
There you go.
They're $6 footlongs now.
Yeah, I know.
And aren't they 11 inches?
Yeah, whatever became of that? They got sued. Oh,
But anyways, and now that it's kind of bleeding over into the gaming world, I'm kind of worried about this. When we talked about Larry's topic last week, and they talked about how it could track how long you looked at a Coke can in a video game and use that information to tailor to you, I don't like that at all. I don't like that one bit. So, do you see that the future of VR is already kind of bleak? That we're going to see more of these, hey, download this awesome game and ride in this Nissan and, see how much you love it and how you need to come buy it. I don't like that.
for me, I think that may be a bit of an overreaction in terms of. I don't think that advertising is going to happen like mid-game experience in terms of like a pop-up, because the selling point of virtual reality so much is immersion. And if it's like, we will return you to your game in 20 seconds after this IKEA ad.
And then when you're playing, you're like, oh, let's open up the fridge, and there's nothing but Coke everywhere. And then it tracks how long you've looked at it.
Yeah, well, but we also have to realize, like, what is in the game is all dependent upon the developers and what they put in the game. And most games are going to stay away from, like, name brand stuff. I actually think the concept for IKEA is kind of cool. Although there are only a few things I love about IKEA, because it's just a wasted day normally, because you get there and you're like, we have a car, we can't fit anything in here.
Yes.
But I mean, it's all about the meatballs and about trying to slam all the kitchen drawers shut and realizing they have the soft close.
Yep. The thing is that in the article they said that they guess that a person on average is going to play this VR game for 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
The IKEA
Mm-hmm.
just goes to show you how they play to the least common denominator of the attention spans here. Like we can't walk for an hour and a half through this IKEA looking at all their stuff. We got to reduce this thing to 5 minutes. But it may help. Like the virtual storefront, and you're like, well, you think about IKEA for big furniture, but they also sell a lot of little stuff, you know? And some people may be like, well, I'll just go to Target where I can walk in right to the section, whereas in IKEA, you have to walk all the way through. So you go to the virtual store, say, I want to drop in the towel section. Boom, you're right there without having to walk all the way through it.
I mean, you think it's going to have a function that takes a picture of your credit card front and back, and then you just pay from that?
Probably.
That's weird to me. Like
This is the future, man.
But the whole idea of, I mean, I'm not classifying this app as a game, but it's definitely within the realm of gaming. And when I look back at all of these instances of in-game advertising, and I see that mostly in sports games and stuff like that, it just tells me that it's very hard to dodge, and it's going to get even harder to dodge in the future. So that's what worries me.
I think it will be saturated with stuff, but I don't think it'll be any different than it is now. Luke and I spent a lot of time reading some Alan Hirsch last year, and a lot of what he had to say made us more aware of just how susceptible we are to advertising even when we feel like we're not. And it is literally everywhere. Even right now, like you guys are repping your favorite teams, but really you're walking billboards for a property that wants to make money. Mm-hmm. And consequently, we're advertising for them for free. And every time I raise my hand this way, I'm advertising Garmin and
Nikes,
Venus Case, and
iPhones
and LG sitting here on my table, like
PSP,
Mac.
which
I think it
Or
will be
Apple.
saturated, but I don't think it'll be like I think I'm saying the same thing Luke is. It's not going to ruin your immersion, but as you're aware of it, it is kind of aggravating.
And I mean, and on the good side, you have to download this app. You're not being force-fed it, but you know what you're getting yourself into when you play for less than 5 minutes.
But what we're going to start to see is like VR is going to be one of those things. I don't think people are going to want to stay in virtual reality for hours and hours on end. Mm-hmm. Like I think it's going to lead to, a little bit of disconnect from reality, probably some headaches. Like it's just going to be something different where you're just wrapped up and you're not going to be able to check your phone or answer the door or make sure your dog's not peeing all over everything. Like,
Make sure you're not being all over everything.
And one of the things that we talked about for the long-term viability of this product is like other applications outside of gaming. And so I think it's super creative for IKEA to say, well, let's create a storefront for people to walk through. Like how cool would it be if when you're buying digital games, it's not a store, it's not like scrolling through menus, but it's like you're walking through a game store and you get to go to different sections, different genres, and you look over the games in there. Like there's some real life application for this and stuff that doesn't take hours on end to do, or what's going to make this product viable for much longer than just, well, here's a cool 20-minute tech demo for what I'm doing. But I'm with Larry. I don't think it's going to be any more inundated with advertising than anything else. Like think about your Xbox. You can buy movies, television shows, you can buy games, you can buy music on there. Like you can even go on the browser and go to target.com and shop on Target. Like
I guess what's deep inside of me that what I'm focusing on is that with the Man of Steel, like in that fight, you're seeing Subway constantly, which says to me, Subway helped pay for some of this movie, correct? Like, that's kind of what it is. And the thought of these major corporations being like, hey, video game companies, I'm going to slide you some cash if you put our logo in there, that kind of diminishes it to me. I'm not saying that they don't need the money, because, yeah, they do. You get better stuff out there. But to just be like, I'm playing this game or I'm watching this serious movie, and then I realize, Man of Steel was brought to you by Subway.
And the deaths of millions of Americans.
So, I don't know, it just makes me feel weird about it. I mean, it's not like I'm against advertising, but I'm realizing that I try to dodge it as much as possible, just because I feel like it's a personal waste of time, because I know what I like, and I do buy name brand stuff, but I don't know, it just makes you feel weird that you can't escape it in the real world, and now I feel like you can't escape it in the virtual world as well.
No, I completely understand that. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but the more varied the experiences are within it, I think the better. But we did talk a lot about this last week, and Larry, I'm going to pass it on to you for the follow-up of advertising.
Be catching it.
Nice.
He caught it.
Is it football or basketball? I
Who
don't know.
knows?
Or baseball?
Could you tell?
I didn't
could you
catch
tell
it.
the
It just
difference
hit
if
me
I
in
told
the
him?
face.
Empty Vial says, I never noticed Subway. That explains why I was so hungry during that fight. Stupid subliminal messages.
Getting to you.
But Milky, before we move on, he brings up a good point. He says EA's been doing that for the past 15 years. Need for Speed and Madden have been doing it like where in normal places where you'd see advertising, whether it's on scoreboards or on billboards as you're driving or whatever, like there's advertisements for stuff. And I think if it's done in like an organic and natural way like that, it's fine. Now I can see in like Man of Steel where it's like generic business, Subway, generic business, like where it sticks out. But if you're inundated enough where it creates a realistic world where it's like not only is there a Subway, but hey, there's a Starbucks and a Bank of America, whatever. Like it could possibly flesh out a world in a sense. But yeah, if it's like that, none of these stores exist except Subway. I wonder what that means. I can get that. I can understand that. But yeah, follow up for us, Larry.
So the story that Diz is referencing, we talked about last week. Some people looked into the Oculus Rift's terms of service that you have to agree to, and it made it clear that they could share their advertising data with Facebook, and we were pretty sure they would share their advertising data with Facebook because Facebook is crazy, man. They're turning the microphone on your phone on whenever, even if you're not using the app at the moment. Like they can listen to what you're saying to craft advertisements for you, and so we had a conversation about that. Since last week, Oculus has come out and responded to those not accusations, but to the concerns people had about those terms of service, and what their response basically boils down to is they are not currently sharing anything like that with Facebook, but they like all of their wording on it was very careful. Currently, like I'm not reassured by this. That like. In your terms of service, there is the ability to do it, whether you're using it now or not. Like that door is open.
They're not saying we will never use it. We're saying not at the moment.
There's a ton of TNT underneath you, and yeah, we may have the trigger, but we're not pressing it yet. Yeah. I was not comforted by that at all. But then the congressman, did you read that one? I put 2 links in there.
I missed the second one. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll pull it up. Hold on. It's because I titled one, you may be interested in this, and I just copy and pasted the other link. So I guess you just thought it was all in one. A U.S. senator writes a letter to Oculus Rift over privacy concerns. This is from Matt Padgett. Senator Al Franken.
Cool.
The Oculus Rift privacy policy caused some concern in regards to the data it collects. The virtual reality company responded to the concerns this week, and now a U.S. senator wants to find out how exactly Oculus uses the collected data. U.S. Senator Al Franken sent a letter to Oculus CEO Brendan Iribe, I don't know, asking him for more information on both the Rift and, quote, the company's collection, storage, and sharing of user personal data. Quote, I believe Americans have a fundamental right to privacy, and that right includes an individual's access to information about what data are being collected about them, how the data are being treated, and with whom the data are being shared. As virtual reality technology evolves, I ask that you provide more information on Rift and how Oculus is addressing issues of privacy and security. End quote. Franken notes that the Oculus using and sharing the collected information, quote, may enhance consumers' virtual reality experience, but it must be done in a way where American citizens' private information is protected. So, yeah.
Oh, really, Senator? Really? Because the U.S. government is literally the worst about this. Why don't you fight that fight and then worry about what's happening with video games? Because I'm more like, you're probably looking at it because you're like, how can we get our pudgy little government fingers in there to extend the already overreaching surveillance we have on every American citizen? So, just shut your mouth. Fix the bigger things first and then worry about Oculus, sir.
Let's be fair.
All right.
We don't know where Al Franken stands on any of that stuff.
It's true.
So your rant has been heard. And it has been noted contingent upon his complacency with the way the U.S. government collects and mines our data.
Right. I will be looking into you, Mr. Franken.
Yeah.
I may write you a letter.
No, but this is a big concern. Like, we do have a fundamental right to privacy, and I think part of privacy is understanding what exactly we agree to. But here's the defense of it. If Oculus comes out, they're like, it's all lined out in our terms of service. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, literally no one reads that. And I'm guilty of the same thing. I just scroll to the bottom and say, I agree, because it's not going to change anything, and I want to use this service. But
you just bought our computer game. You open it up. You know that you can't return computer games. You got to agree to this to play it.
Yeah. So I get the concern, but I also am like, there's ways to finagle around it. So what's it really matter?
Yeah. Well, I think the bigger issue, both with Oculus and with the government, is that there aren't enough people who actually care. Like, Snowden comes out, tells us the government has files on literally everything we're doing on the internet. Whatever. We're more concerned about other things. We're just
it's about the rhythm of the way, like, everybody thought, like, we've got 24-hour news media now, so we're obviously more informed. We have the internet now, we're obviously more informed. Listening to a podcast, really interesting podcast, and I don't, whatever you want to think about Trump, we think he's a joke. Larry and I do.
Really bad one.
Dizzy's a huge Trump supporter. I'm just kidding.
Dizzy wants to make America great again.
Yeah. GRATE. Like, want to bring back the Wisconsin cheese pride.
I'm okay with that.
The
part.
way you just side shook your head was very Trump-esque. It really just put the exclamation point on what the viewers now know, that you love Trump.
Oh God.
We're doubling down on this rumor here. But anyway, I was listening to a podcast talking about Trump and the way that he's really perfected, like, the art of the media rhythm, where he can do atrocious things, and he understands that if he does something outlandish 2 days later, it won't stick in the American psyche long enough to affect him. So he's like, I'll say something crazy about Mexicans over here, and then in 2 days I'll say something crazy about women, and then in 2 days I'll say something crazy about Muslims, and then it all just gets boiled down to Donald Trump's crazy, and then I can boil it down to, well, all politicians are crazy, right? And we don't have the attention span to focus on anything. And I'm just as guilty. Like, I'm preaching to myself here when I say this. Like, we don't have the attention span to collectively get outraged about something enough to make a change. And it's the sad state of just America in general, where, like, we see awful and atrocious things happening, but then something awful and atrocious happens over here in a different way, and we just forget about what we could have fixed to prevent the other one. So, same thing here with privacy stuff. Like, companies will just continue to walk all over our right to privacy if we just keep yielding it over to them. So, that's my mini rant about that. Anything else about that before we move on?
I hate all of this.
Next topic. This is from Eddie Mackich over on GameSpot, our boy Eddie.
Eddie!
This is a story, the title, We're Ready, Microsoft says about Xbox One, PS4 crossplay. Here's the important parts. Asked directly if all the technology required for Xbox One, PS4 crossplay was in place, ID at Xbox boss Agostina Simonetta said, quote, absolutely, we're ready. Rocket League is the first game, and it's a heavily network-oriented game. Any title that wants to update their game to include cross-network play, any title that wants to launch soon and take advantage of that, we are ready. Simonetta reiterated that Microsoft has extended an invitation to any network that wants to connect to Xbox Live, including PlayStation Network. Asked if he had heard any encouraging news on this front, he used to work at Sony. He only said, quote, we can only say we're ready. We've done our bit, and we welcome anyone who wants to take part. So I'm going to go on another little mini rant here.
Do it, you won't.
About this, because this is starting to aggravate me a little bit. Microsoft, I think, in this, while they're appearing to be the good guy within it, like, we're trying to open up our network to people. We're trying to let PlayStation people play with Xbox people. I think, conversely, this is something they kind of sprung up on PlayStation in the last month, I would say. And they're really, like, holding their feet to the flame on this and trying to paint them almost as the bad guy within it. And this quote came across to me like the like he's being stood up on a date. Well, we invited him out to come with us, and we're sitting here with a prom dress on, and they never showed up. And that's been a bit frustrating for me to look at, because my big thing within this is, what benefit does PlayStation have from this? Like, we talk all the time about the two main reasons to select a console are, where's the place that your friends play, and what are the exclusives that you're into? And I would go, if I wasn't an owner of both, I would go with just the one that my friends play on. PlayStation's way ahead of Xbox in terms of sales. So they have way more to lose than Xbox has to gain over this, when Xbox is like, well, if the only reason you're playing PlayStation is because you've got, there's this big user base, well, we have cross-platform play. So come play over here where you can play Halo and Gears and all this other stuff, while also being able to play your Call of Duties, the Divisions with your friends that own a PlayStation. Like, there's nothing to be gained here from PlayStation except a minuscule amount of goodwill that is unnecessary to continue the success they've already had. And so now Xbox being like, oh man, well, it's just raining on our wedding day and no one showed up. Like, it really just, it seems a little desperate at this point. Take that for what you will. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It just feels like Xbox trying to pressure PlayStation into doing what they would like them to do, and they don't have anything to gain. Xbox has a lot to gain. It doesn't make sense, and playing the victim is kind of silly.
You seem ponderous about this.
I do. I need to mull it around.
Would I like it to happen? Absolutely. But I also can't be like, PlayStation, you're horrible because you don't want to help Xbox compete better with you.
This is a little extreme, but it's almost like me being like, I gave Larry my bank account number, and I've invited him to put $1,000 in my account, and he'd look like a really good person if he did that, and it'd be great. So we're really just like sitting here waiting for Larry, put $1,000 in. I mean, the means are there. Larry, put the money in our account, man.
And let's take it out of the realm of the hypothetical. What is your bank account number?
276 638. Have you weaved it together yet?
I'm just trying to figure it out, because as I sit here and I'm listing the games in my head that people would play cross-platform, Call of Duty, Division, whatever like that, I still look back and I see what are the games that you can only play on these systems. And this has nothing to do with the conversation, but you just made me realize that as of right now, I do like the PlayStation games better. It has nothing to do with your conversation. I just realized that.
Oh, no.
I've just realized that. No Man's Sky, dude. You can't cross-play that.
That's a one-player game. Stupid.
But it's also
No,
PlayStation.
It's actually massively.
I was talking out loud. I was about to say, or Until Dawn. Wait. See, I like PlayStation's exclusives better.
Wow.
But
Not any of them better than Halo is the real issue. Mm-hmm. If Halo ever disappears, like, Xbox loses me.
You hear that, Xbox?
You better keep making Halo. Or actually make better exclusives all across the board. That would be good.
Gears 4 is going to be great. Gears 4 is going to be awesome. Which I love Gears to begin with, but we'll get there. But no thoughts on the cross-platform play?
No, I'm just blowing my own mind right now.
Yeah.
I've been Xbox for as long as I can remember.
You're like, where have
Where's
I been
the
all my
time
life?
gone?
Who am I? Not just who am I, but why am I?
Why? Why do I keep playing the Xbox?
Milky513 says, it's easier to breed sympathy than contempt. I think that's a really good point. Like, it's really easy for Xbox to come across like the, oh, woe is me, we're trying over here, and just being blockaded, than to, it may be less about hating on Sony for it and more just about feeling bad for, like the girl taking the guy on the prom who doesn't have a date. Just a little bit of sympathy there. So anyway, all right. Well, those were our topics. Now that everyone is just in shambles, Larry over here sneezing and blowing his nose all kinds of ways, and
I'm allergic to everything in April.
And my purpose of living has just been destroyed.
Let's move on to news with the podcast guys. That's us.
There's no clapping in that one.
All right. First item on the list. 3 sources from Microsoft have told mcvuk.co.uk that previously canceled Fable Legends may yet be saved. Here's the relevant quote from the article. Quote, there are currently no offers for either game or the studio. Either the game or the studio, but staff are being surveyed as to whether they would like to continue working on Legends or just accept the redundancy package that has been put before them and leave at the end of April. This is part of the consolation process Microsoft is conducting, end quote.
So they're giving him a second chance? Because I thought a lot of these people had already been hired to other companies.
Well,
They were offering to help them get hired, but we don't know how quickly that's been happening yet.
yeah. And so it's probably one of those things of like, all right, look, this is almost done. We've taken a whole lot of time. We're really not going to be able to, make a profit off of this, but will we be able to recoup some money if we pull it back in? Is this something that you love enough that you would you would want to salvage it and save it, or should we just let it die?
That's what it would be. It would be a labor of love because, this is not like any other Fable game. Like, I don't know anyone that's really just, chomping at the bit to get this.
Yeah.
So it would be a labor of love. Of like, we've dedicated our time. Let's just finish it out because I don't know if there's a huge population clamoring for their beloved Fable series to be completely different.
And this would be more of a consolation of the people that worked on it than the fans of the series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone that heard Legends was canceled was like, oh man, we're super sad. Hearing Lion's Head was closing was probably a much bigger deal.
When I heard Fable was canceled, I was like, oh, they were making another one?
And it was nothing like the other ones that were crazy good and successful. It was a MOBA style, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was totally different. Empty Vial says, I hope they leave. As much as Fable was stitching gaming, they started to pull that thread out with Fable 3. It was a fun game, very high energy, but it was nothing of its predecessors and did not deliver on anything, almost anything that was promised. Well, and then to just completely take your franchise out of what it was to make it something completely different. Like, you alienated a fan base and just let it die. Let it die.
Let it die. Let it shrivel up and die.
Here's the thing, like, they completely changed the gameplay style of Fable, and they're expecting it to be just as successful as the other ones. Like, I want to use this example of Halo Wars. Like, they took this universe, made it an RTS style, but they at least said, hey, it's outside of the Halo, timeline, outside of the franchise that you can get. And it still wasn't that huge of a success. So these people are changing up the game completely and saying, hey, it's the next iteration, almost. And that's a shot in the foot.
Yeah, well, like Halo Wars was released with the idea that, hey, this is an outlier, but we're continuing on our trajectory.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't whereas there was really no indication of that from Fable. Like, it could have gone either way. There was no indication this was going to be the only way, but there was also nothing that was saying like, hey, well, legitimate Fable 4 is going to come in the future here too. And it costs Microsoft a studio and a fan base. And I don't think releasing a game that people weren't excited about to begin with is going to help in any way. And do you really want to pay the distribution costs? Just swallow your pill.
It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Next item on the list. Gears of War 4 is going to be launching on October 11th. Very interesting. With a beta coming April 18th for all who play Gears of War Ultimate Edition before April 11th.
Why is the 11th interesting?
That game's not normally an October game, is it?
I don't know. I'm sad because
Ow.
today is April 11th.
Yeah.
I'm too late.
Have you not launched Gears of War Ultimate Edition?
No.
Is it on your console? Just start it.
No.
That's all you got to do.
Before today, right?
On or before today.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I think it was by April 11th. So, if you haven't done that yet, do that. I'm excited about Gears. I love Gears. This game looks somewhat like it's going back to some of the horror-esque styles of the first Gears. They always kind of had that undertone in like Gears 2 and 3, but it became much more action-based. Mm-hmm. Whereas I thought Gears 1 really kind of straddled that line between horror and action in a really good way.
Resident Evil effect.
Yeah, and this game looks to be very isolated, like you've gone rogue from the COG army.
everybody allergic to stuff?
My throat is super dry right now. I'm about to go get some water.
Oh, let's make fun of the guy who always has 2 drinks.
Well equipped.
Anyway, so I am gonna launch it today. I actually got Gears. Did I tell you the story? How I got Gears of War free?
3.
Yeah,
3
free.
Ultimate
3
Edition
for free.
3.
Ultimate for free.
Ultimate free.
There was a guy on Facebook that was like, "Hey, I'm giving away copies of Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Just send me a message and say you want one, and I'll send you a picture of the code." And I was like, he's not asking for any of my information, so I'll do it. So he sends me a picture. I put it in my console. I got a copy of it for free. It was awesome. He gave it to like 50 different people.
We should play Gears of War Ultimate Edition.
I love Gears. Let's play.
I've never played.
All right,
I played 5 minutes at your house one time.
Yeah.
It was a fun 5 minutes, and I had to go home.
Is this going to take over Minecraft time?
Probably.
Because it took over Division time.
That's true too.
We'll play Minecraft again next year. Don't worry.
We're always coming back. Well, you guys talk amongst yourselves for a moment about Halo Wars. Discuss. I'm gonna go get one.
Halo Wars was really.
Yes. Because it was an easier StarCraft for me.
That's what I was getting
It
at.
was an easier StarCraft.
I hated it because it was a weaker StarCraft. I'm like, you're limiting me to 30 units? What is this?
I was always terrible at StarCraft. And I was like, I could just have a bunch of tanks? Yeah.
I was a great ally in StarCraft, but not like I couldn't win a game. I played as Terran humans. I couldn't win a game, but I was great to have on your team. If you kept me alive through the first little initial Zerg rush crap, I'd be dropping nukes left and right. And I'd let my teammates be like, where you want this nuke? All right, delivered.
That was your jam, man. I remember that.
Like I would like I'd get 3 ghosts in somebody's base. I'd have like nukes everywhere ready to go, and like you'd get the warning nuclear launch detected. They go find the one ghost, but I'd launch like 3 nukes at the same time, so that like they think, oh, okay, I stopped it, but then 2 more drop somewhere else. It's fantastic.
Beautiful.
I love that game.
We talked about StarCraft.
Oh,
Halo Wars was basically a watered down StarCraft, which is why Diz loved it,
Why I liked it.
and why I hated it.
interesting. All right, next item on the list.
We weren't done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. We're good.
According to Reddit user Disastorm, users who pirate Quantum Break will play with the main character Jack Joyce wearing an eye patch. Apparently, they also did this in Alan Wake.
That doesn't seem like a bad thing.
I know. That
Makes
seems
it
like
kinda
man,
tougher.
Man, I kind of want to pirate this and play it that way. I was hoping, because I clicked on it, it was titled like unique way of punishing pirated players or something. And I was like, man, it would be awesome if like you got to the end and you didn't get to actually see the ending or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it was a totally troll ending of it.
I read a very similar article about Uncharted where they were talking about Donut Drake.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should do that. That's pretty cool. I'd do that. But yeah, but eye patch, that doesn't seem half bad. What does it do? It just shows your friends that you stole it? Is that all it does?
But it's not really an online game.
I mean, when people come over and they're like, "Hi, he has an eye patch. How do I get that?" Just steal it.
You just got to steal
That's
it, man.
awesome.
I don't understand. I don't think this is going to deter anything. Kind of like I don't know if we've ever had this conversation, but calling like the theft of digital property pirating is like the worst thing in the world for me. I love pirates. I like I can be a pirate if I just steal your stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
If you steal this game, you get a chainsaw for an arm.
What? What movie is that?
Arm
No.
of the Darkness.
Oh, okay. Yeah, word. All right, next item on the list. We're rolling right along through the news here.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 got its teaser trailer. It's going to be revealed Monday, June 12th, E3. Ladies and gentlemen, Titanfall 2, the worst kept secret. Fallout 4 was the worst kept secret in gaming.
Now let's not ignore the fact that in this teaser you see that there are now swords for your mechs.
You get like the Cloud Buster sword, it looks like.
Very Pacific Rim.
Which is having a sequel, by the way.
Starring Shia LaBeouf.
I think it's going to have the same cast.
Oh, man, Charlie Kelly.
Is that his name?
This is Charlie Day, I think. This is Charlie Kelly's It's Always Sunny name.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm excited about Titanfall. Even the trailer seemed to have more story than the first game. game. It's 45 seconds long.
It's at least got as much story as the first game.
I think I'm going to try it because, like I said, my goal for the year is to play more multiplayer stuff. I've done Division, I've done Minecraft, but it wasn't, an online stranger person. So yeah, I think I'll give it a shot.
Milky wants to know if we're going to show the teaser trailer. No, we're not, because this is an audio podcast as well, and that wouldn't be very fun.
We could narrate it like that episode of Family Guy where Stewie reads the Garfield comics.
I've never seen that. We will watch that clip. Here we go. I'm just kidding. All right. That was the news.
No clapping.
News with the podcast, guys. And we don't have any reviews today. We're moving right along. Quick show.
Yeah,
So
we're only an hour in.
let's move on to
I
everybody's
like this.
favorite segment, the random question of the week.
Random question of the week for the month.
That was Bob Dylan version. Diz.
That's me.
Hold on, wait. You gotta have some harmonica.
This is random question of the week.
If you just give it a little more, you could be Randy Newman.
Randy Newman. You got a friend in me.
So Bob Dylan and Randy Newman. I like it.
Nice.
All right, Diz, it's your random question. Talk to us.
Okay, I will talk to both of you and
Do
to
it,
the
you
people
won't.
out there in the Twitchiverse.
Sounds like you're stalling.
Wait a minute.
No,
LA Gamer.
I just couldn't think of. I was like, are we on YouTube? No, we're on Twitch.
Yeah, hold on one second. LA Gamer for Life says, I'm not excited about Titanfall ever since my ex stole my first copy and gave it to the guy she was cheating on me with.
Oh,
Look, it's
Man,
not
that got
Titanfall's
super real, dude. I don't even think you follow us, and you just got, like, real life with us.
She stole your Titanfall and gave it to the dude that she
Stole
cheated
it as
on
a
him
gift,
with. Right?
Probably.
Is that it? Gosh, I want to break into that guy's house for you.
Hit that follow button. Diz, your random question for us.
Yes. I've never really been a YouTube person. Like when I was growing up, I had a lot of friends like Mr. White that just loved watching YouTube till 2 a.m. and that was just never me. I would go on there and listen to music occasionally, but that's about it. It was only about a year ago where I started discovering some channels that I really enjoyed watching, some good characters, some good personalities, and I just kind of watch it daily for a long time. Like when my wife's at work, I just have YouTube on and it's just playing these videos, and I've really learned to love it. And I want to ask you guys if you guys are really big in YouTube, and what are some of the channels you either subscribe or watch all the time?
I am the opposite of you. I started out big into YouTube and it's dropped off for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had some friends we started out making YouTube videos with.
Yep.
And we're not going to say what those are called. If you ever find them, you will. I'll feel most regrettable. But oh no, not that. The college ones are fine. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the earlier ones, I was naive and I just said whatever I was told to say, and some of that may come back to bite me one day. We'll never know.
We'll know.
But like I very rarely like follow anything directly. My favorite thing on YouTube of all time, and to this day I could get on and just spend hours watching, is Balloon Shop.
Yes.
They don't make videos anymore, but their videos were hilarious, and they're just like stupid random stuff. Like a guy comes back from vacation, like falls over the bushes and meets his friend. They're just making fun of like the whole bro culture. Hey bro, like, and they do like this secret handshake with like titty twisters in it. And it's great.
Oren actually has his own channel, and it's very good. He's really good with effects. It's very sci-fi though.
Oh
He's still
yeah,
doing
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, man. Like when I'm at work and I need Ben, I just say, "Hey Ben, Ben, what you got there?" And he'll say, "Meat." And he doesn't even know what I'm talking about, but he knows what to say. Yeah,
The whips one. They just all have whips. They're hitting each other with whips. It's fantastic. So go
Good
look
panda.
up. Go look up Balloon Shop. In one, he learns to teleport, but then he can't control it. Just starts slamming into stuff. It's great.
I get all of these references, guys. I mostly just follow the Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage guy.
Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage.
See, I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I wasn't real big into YouTube in the beginning, and then when we got to college, I just like watching videos of skaters getting stopped by cops.
Yes, you did. You did.
And then the Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage guy. The Deshaun Butler kids book. That's one of my favorite videos. The one we watched today. Larry watched it. We'll watch it afterwards. It's really good, man. It's about this kid who gets a dinosaur and has to go sell it. Yeah,
I've seen that.
Oh yeah, you remember it from college.
Then I slammed a half dozen root beers.
It felt awesome. I follow GMM. I do a lot of my late night shows on there. Like I don't like watching late night, and I don't like watching television because there's commercials. But you know, if Colbert's got a guest or a funny segment, I can go on there. So I follow Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver with Last Week Tonight. Follow them. Big on Kind of Funny. Mostly P.S. I Love You, XOXO, and the Games Cast. So. Yeah, I don't do nearly as much of YouTube as I used to. I'm more into podcasts.
You didn't mention one that I thought you would mention. A Good Mythical Morning.
GMM.
Oh, I said GMM.
Oh, I just flew right over my head.
Yep, Good Mythical Morning.
One time they ate a buffalo testicle.
They've eaten a lot of testicles. They eat guinea pig testicles. Cod sperm.
That was delicious.
What was it called? Milt?
Milt. Yep.
Because they called someone and they were like, here you go. And they gave them some milk and they were like, oh no, we were calling about milt. And they were like, oh yeah, we have that too. Oh man. So yeah, that's what I watch.
Excellent.
What about you?
I really enjoy Smosh games. That's kind of how I want us to become one day because we're good. I feel like we're good personalities, and they just get to play these games and yell at each other and just have a blast and just say jokes and stuff, and it's super entertaining. So I really love watching those guys. I do a lot of GMM as well, and to be completely honest, when I talk about it, I'm really into YouTube. I mean, I've just watched probably 300 videos from Smosh games. But
and then all of
that's
his,
where I like to go.
Then all of his bronies.
Oh yeah, cringe videos are very fun. I enjoy watching those.
Oh, I can't do it, man. I find
most of them annoying than cringy.
See, I can't cringe. I don't like it.
I am a sucker for prank videos. Like I love watching, especially like where they like just terrify people. There's this one group, I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. They're in some other country though, where like clearly people can't carry firearms or they'd all be dead. But they like sometimes they dress as clowns and have these dummies set up to smash like the dummies' heads with a mallet and blood goes everywhere. Then they like chase people out of a parking garage. Like they've got things rigged up where this dude comes by chanting in a robe and like starts to telekinesis everything, and then the people run away. But they're also very profane. So, but like I don't know where they're stationed, but hilarious scares. Like some of those Spanish-speaking countries have the best scares. Like you've seen the little girl who appears on the elevator. That's a great one. But one of my favorite things YouTube has always done in the last couple of years, I've been disappointed in it, is the YouTube Rewind, like just the recap of the year. And I'm not sure if YouTube's getting worse at making the recap or if we're just getting lamer as a society and there's nothing really cool to recap.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when it comes to YouTube, I watch more of the show styles. I don't really get into the viral videos. Is that what you're talking about? Just like a recap?
Viral videos.
Well, that's part of it.
Viral videos.
Viral videos.
But they also recap the like big events of the year and like kind of spoof it. Like one year they had a guy falling from atmosphere. The year the dude did the Red Bull jump. But like this year was just... Last year was basically the cold water challenge was the YouTube Rewind. I'm like, that more than that happened this year.
Did you know that more videos were viewed on Facebook last year than YouTube? Pretty crazy.
Facebook has changed the way we use the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because on our iPhones it just kind of plays automatically?
No, I think that's probably part of it. And then just more and more people host stuff on there. And it's just easier to share from there. It doesn't take you out of the page to watch it, even if it doesn't autoplay.
It's the only place you can go watch Josh Fierstein.
Cybernethy, what's
We're
up?
not advocating
He says
it.
one time a guy tried to stage a fake robbery as a prank, and when he tried to stick him up, he got punched in the face so hard he could see a hole through his nose.
Ew.
He's bleeding profusely and in immense pain. Milky513 says he watches Honest Game trailers and mostly DJ and music channels on YouTube. Some Majestic, Selected, Ja Big, and my favorite, Milky216.
Hey.
That's his brother-in-law.
I love... I just blanked. The Honest movie trailers.
Yeah.
Those are hilarious.
Starring Gwyneth Paltrow and Lindsay Lohan. And it's just legless and Smeagol.
I love the Avengers when he's like, watch as they repair a ship for 45 minutes.
do you guys like the bad lip readings?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
The one for Ted Cruz is beautiful.
I haven't
It's
seen that.
absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I need to watch it.
My favorite one of those is the Hunger Games. I got
Joe. Codfish Joe.
You're the devil. No.
What do you guys think of Epic Rap Battle? They're pretty good too.
Yeah.
I haven't watched one of those in a long time.
That's how I figured out who Watsky was, and then I went and listened to his real music.
Oh, yeah, his
I was like,
Shakespeare
man,
one.
Yeah.
It's crazy fast. Yeah.
I love Watsky.
Leak and Rhett were on there once as the
Twice.
Wright brothers.
Oh, they did the Wright Brothers actually 3 times. They did the Wright Brothers. They did Renaissance Painters for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Lewis and Clark.
They also did the music in a children's series called What's in the Bible
Yes.
with Buck Denver.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great show.
Genesis means beginnings.
I like the Moses one.
I've seen 3 of them. I don't think I've seen that one.
He talks about.
I'm yelling!
No, you aren't.
right there. You were talking.
No, you
in a
aren't.
normal
I was
tone.
singing the song. I don't know if we're going to get sued for it.
Nah, you're good. It's covered.
He talks about like they all gathered together in the desert to hear the commandments, like a nice day at the beach. Only it wasn't a beach; it was a hot desert. I love it.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. But in the after party lounge, be thinking. I want to know what the greatest prank you've ever pulled off is.
I know.
There's some prank
I know
conversation.
the greatest
going
prank
on in
you've
the
ever
chat-
pulled
in the
off.
Chat here.
Because you helped me.
I've got a pretty good story. So stick around on Twitch for the after party lounge. We'll talk about that. We're also going to do a spoiler-filled review of the season finale of The Walking Dead.
That'll be at the very end though, so don't run away.
So don't
just
run
yet.
away just yet. So, but we'll start off talking about pranks. But let's go around the circle.
I'm Larry. I'm on Twitter at Lair Hunts Zombies. LARHUNTS Zombies. I am on not YouTube. What's that thing?
Xbox?
That's the one.
Google Plus?
Xbox. I am on Google Plus Larry Hunt, and I am on Xbox Live. My name is the Ninja Squirrel. SQRL. You don't spell the word, and there's spaces between those words. And if you add me on there from this show, like send me a message saying, "Hey, I'm adding you because I listen to P3P." Because if you don't, I'm not going to add you back because I get a lot of requests from strangers because, just to be honest, I'm awesome at Halo. Okay, I'm going to drop this mic. I don't own it.
Don't do it.
I don't do much, but you can find me on Xbox at Granny Hand Grenade.
All right. I'm Luke Croft. You can find me on Twitter at TK for Maniac. You can find me on PlayStation Network at Lodger Blackman and Xbox Live at Download a Hoagie. Find my writing over on twinfinite.net. Have a really interesting article about dev kits and what they look like. Some interesting pictures on there. So go check that out, twinfinite.net. We are the Player 3 Podcast over on youtube.com/Player 3 Podcast, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Twitter at Player 3 Podcast. Anywhere you can find us on the internet, leave us an iTunes review. Stick around for the After Party Lounge if you're over here on Twitch. We are the Player 3 Podcast.
Player 3 Podcast!
P3 P.
I didn't hit his tone very well. Dang it.
Hello and welcome to the Player 3 Podcast After Party Lounge, where butt bucks
No.
continue to be a currency.
Why? Seth's not even here anymore.
His spirit lives on.
I miss Seth.
Yes, April Fool's pranks count. April Fool's lies do not count.
Right.
Empty Vials want to know. This is the After Party Lounge. Cue up your questions, comments, concerns. We'll get to those in a moment. Let's talk about different pranks that we've pulled.
We'll pretend to care about your concerns in a moment. I'm kidding. We won't. I'm kidding again. We will actually care.
Actually pretend to care.
All right, Diz, you're gonna remember this once I start talking.
Because
So,
you know I don't have a memory.
so there was Diz and I grew up in the same place, and I've known Diz since
The
we were.
three of us
Right,
grew
right,
up in the
right.
same place. Yes, we
I've
all
known
understand.
Diz since we were in the third grade. He
Luke
doesn't
and Diz.
remember me in the third grade, but I was there. He loved Lost in Space. That's how I can prove that I knew him in the third grade. You were obsessed with the teenage daughter in the film,
I knew that. as well.
and you were young enough that it wasn't creepy. Well, let me clarify that for
She
the
was
viewers.
older than me.
Right, but
Yeah.
now if you like a teenage girl in a movie,
Well, she's an
you're
adult
weird.
now.
Right, she's still older than you.
But
That's
she
how
lives
time
on
works.
as a teenager in perpetuity in that film.
So we were in the same youth group together, and I don't even know how it happened, but one night they decided to prank these two girls, Whitney and Lee. You know what I'm talking about? So all the girls were having this sleepover, and and the guys, we were used to sneaking around in the dark and stuff, playing nighttime games. That sounded weird because of what you did, not because of what I said.
Night crawlers.
Our favorite game was called Beat the Crap Out of Each Other, where you had to sneak through a dark house, and if you found someone, you had to beat the crap out of them. So we were good at being sneaky. So all the girls are staying at Samantha's house, and Samantha tells like this crazy story about how this convicted murderer somehow got out of jail, and he's like staying in the house down the street, but then somehow still convinces everyone's in on this prank except two girls, Whitney and Lee, and they convince them to go for a walk at like midnight. So all of us guys, we're like dressed in all black, and we're hiding like in the bushes and stuff outside, and as they walk up the street, we're like running along the roads like from shadow to shadow, and if you don't know much about sneaking in the dark, if you are in a shadow at nighttime, a person outside the shadow can't see into that shadow. It's magical, and we were really playing to that. And it got to the point where they started to be like, "I think I saw something," and the other girls would be like, "No, you're just being scared, whatever." And after a few times of that, they're like, "No, I definitely saw something." And they stop and they look back. And Dizzy just busts out of the shadows and runs across the street into another shadow, and they just start screaming. And Diz was between them and the house that they were staying at, so like they were afraid to go back. And the other girls are like playing into this, you know. And this woman comes outside. She heard him screaming, and like I'm like, oh no, we're in trouble. But she's like, y'all need to calm down. And, like slams the door and cuts her lights out. And so they start like easing their way back. Like they want to move back to the house, but they can't do it. And they get to where Diz was hiding, and they get by that. And then all of a sudden, all of us just come busting out of the shadows. And we're all like wearing masks, so they can't see who we are. So terrible. And we chase them all the way back to the house. And Whitney and Lee are in the back. And everyone makes it through. And Lee makes it through. But they slam the door on Whitney. And like all of us just converge. And she falls down crying.
And you killed her?
Well, I mean, you can't just stop there. You got to take the prank.
Through.
Oh, man, it was hilarious. She hit us because once she realized it was us.
We tormented that girl at that moment.
It was fantastic. That was the best prank I ever played. I suspect for you as well, but I don't know.
Because we really made someone fear for their life.
Yeah, well, and then carried through on it, and you know, saddened her family for the rest of their lives. So that's cool.
But then at the funeral, we're like, just kidding.
Yeah,
it's
It's just a prank.
There's no way we would have ever hurt Mike's feelings.
No way.
Never.
Mike Baker is.
Are you more concerned with hurting his feelings or the mustache's feelings?
Both.
I understand.
But I like the fact that we're more concerned about hurting Mike's feelings than murdering somebody.
We would never do that to Mike. So one year we went on this youth group trip to Bible College, Roanoke Bible College, and
now known as Mid-Atlantic Christian University.
Yes. And whenever you're on one of those trips, it's always a roll of the dice, like who the people are staying around you. And we had the unfortunate thing of having the youth group that was super loud next to us at like 4 a.m. And not just being loud because they were having fun, but being loud and being jerks by like banging on the wall that we shared and stuff, and like trying to keep us awake. So I live by a principle in my life where you don't get mad, you don't get even, you go 10 times overboard. Because revenge is yours, says the Lord. That's in Romans.
Something like that.
So anyway, we decided the next day we were going to go to Home Depot. Any great prank starts at Home Depot. Just keep that in mind. And we're like, all right, we need a sheet of plywood and some 2x4s cut to a specific length.
I'm so intrigued right now.
So we began explaining this because we pull up in this church van, and the guy working at Home Depot sees us get out, and we start asking for this, and he's like, what are you guys doing? And we began to explain to him the prank that we're about to pull. He's like, well, I can give you the plywood for free, because he just loved the idea so much. But you'll have to pay to get the wood cut and buy the wood. So we end up buying the wood. Get in the car. Next morning, around 4 a.m, we go down to the van. We get the plywood, in the 2x4s, and we put the plywood up over the door jamb, and they had staggered doors, so it wasn't a door directly across. We put the plywood up against the jamb of their door. The door's open to the inside of the room, and we wedged the 2x4s between the plywood and the wall on the opposite side, and we just waited. We set on an alarm for early enough that when they would wake up, and so we wedged we woke up, waited for him to wake up, and the first guy, you hear the alarm go off, and it was communal shower, so they had to leave to brush their teeth and get ready. We hear the door open, and we hear him just slam into the plywood. Like, he was so asleep he didn't realize there was anything there, and he's like, "Whoa, what?" And you hear him wake everybody up inside. They're all ramming it with their shoulders, but the way we had it wedged in there, it wasn't going anywhere. It would push up, and it was breaking the drop ceiling tiles, but they could not get out. Well, the first session was at 9:00, and we just left them in there on the third floor. And we came back and we let them out after the next session. We had somebody stay there, and as people were coming through, we were like, "Do not move this plywood," and everybody listened. So I think we might have committed a crime there, but I don't know. Statute of limitations, right?
Were they pretty much hostages at that moment?
Yeah. We also had a guy with a gun in there. I'm just kidding.
He shot one to let them know they were serious.
But we also had to pay for the drop ceiling tiles that were broken, and were discouraged from attending any more events there. But it was worth it. So, yeah, Home Depot. Every good prank starts at Home Depot. I don't think I have any more.
Not one that I committed, but one of my favorite ones, just because it's such a small thing. But there was a guy at college that really loved Lucky Charms, and another guy in the hall dumped all of his Lucky Charms out and picked all of the marshmallows out, and then put the cereal back in.
Dedication.
So all he had was the not flavorful grain things, whatever they're called, puffs, perhaps. I don't know.
I'm sure I knew. I'm like you. I have a terrible memory.
I can't voice any of my favorite pranks because they all involve Joe.
Oh gosh, yeah.
We can't tell Joe Sabella's stories.
Yeah.
Oh
we
wait, I
get
said his
banned
last
from
name.
Twitch.
I'm sorry.
Joseph.
Joe knows what he did.
All right. So at camp one year, my brother and I, we used to dean middle school week at camp, and one week we just had awful kids, and there was a kid there. We'll call him Dwight. And another kid there named Joe, because I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
And on the playground, they got into a fight. And so Les and I are like having to talk to these kids. And Dwight's like 800 feet tall. And he was like real upset about this fight and stuff. And we're like, why in the world did you fight him, man? And he's like, he called me a gay wad and stole my hat. We're like, what? Is this 1997? Who uses that? And so we got real mad. We're like, you guys are stupid for trying to fight. So later that night, we go and we get them out of their dorms after bedtime. It's like 11 o'clock, and we had all the staff, a bunch of staff people come up, and we're like, look, if you guys are going to fight, you're going to do this for real, all right? So we bring them into the gym where we have all the adult staff circled up. We had no intention of actually making them fight. So we take Dwight and Joe into this gym, and we're explaining to them, like, look, if you guys are going to fight, you're going to do it like men. You're going to do it in this circle till someone's got a fat lip, all right? And so we're like, all right, fight. And, like, Dwight's got his hands up. He's about to go. And Joe's like, I don't want to fight you, man. I'm going back to bed. So he leaves.
Because Dwight's 800 feet tall, and he's got crazy reach.
Yeah, seriously.
On Joe.
And, but anyway, so Joe's like, I don't want to fight. He leaves. And we're like, well, Dwight, you're the one that wanted to fight. You got to pick somebody in here to fight. So he's looking around at the adult staff, and he picks this guy named Alex, who's like, he's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? He's kind of broad-shouldered, real big, scrappy-looking dude, you know? Like, he's stocky. Yeah, that's a good word for it. And we're like, out of all of the people in this room, you pick the one guy who it's like no question he'd be able to kick your tail. So we're like, all right, well, we're gonna go get you ready for this fight. So we get Dwight to come out, and as Les is getting him out, I tell the staff, I'm like, all right, you guys just go hide behind the building and turn the lights off when you leave. So we get Dwight out there, and we're talking to him. We're like, look, man, this guy's scrappy, and you got to be equally as scrappy. So what you do, you go into the bathroom, you lather your hands up with soap, and when the fight starts, you just poke him in the eyes with your soapy hands first. It's going to burn his eyes. So he goes into his dorm, comes out, he's got soap up to the elbow. Like, he's got so much soap on his hands. And we're like, all right, go in there, man. We'll be in there in a minute, and we'll get this fight started. So he goes in. Lights in the gym are all off. There's nobody in there. Well, he just stands in there. I come back with the flashlight, open the door, and I see him. I'm like, Dwight, what are you doing in here, man? He's like, well, you told me. I'm like, no, this is the final straw. You tried to get in a fight first. You better go pack your bags. I'm calling your mom. You're going home. And he like starts crying. He's like, you guys told me to be in here. I was like, what are you talking about? Les has been asleep. I've been asleep. One of your dorm parents came in and told us you were missing. What are you doing in here, man? And so we get him all the way down into the gym, and we've got him convinced. Like, we've called your mom. We sat down there for like an hour with him, and he's like, I don't know where my mom is. It shouldn't have taken her this long if she was leaving immediately. And we're like, dude, your mom's not coming. Fighting stupid. Go back to bed. He never came back to camp.
Yeah, he did.
I'm just kidding. Oh, man.
That's a weird story, man. I feel like it was one of those things like sometimes you set out to like make a video or something and you've got a story at first, but then it just goes off the rails and you get lost somewhere.
Well, it was really one of those, we made it up as we went along. Oh, I missed the part.
What gets me is that he picked an adult to fight. That's what gets me.
The thing that gets me is he came out scrubbed up like he was about to do open heart surgery, and he forgot to rinse. Oh, man. Then we got a bunch of like the adult guys around him in a group hug, and we got him to repeat after us. Fighting is stupid, even if I am called a gay one. Oh, man. That was a great week. Great week at camp.
You just finished talking about how awful it was.
Empty Vial says, and that's church camp for you, worst adults ever. Look, man, that's shame on me. Look, this is the problem in today's society. We have made up this adolescent stage, and we're like, look, here's this moment. You can just act like complete and total imbeciles, fighting each other over something stupid on the playground. And just because we wanted to do a prank that illustrated just how dumb everything that kid was doing makes us terrible people, I'd like to think that kid learned a lesson. And that maybe he'll graduate high school now.
He didn't try to fight at camp ever again.
Boom. I consider that a victory. So shame on you, Empty Vials. Coming in here and judging
me. You need better teaching methods.
All right.
If you want Luke to teach your children a lesson, donate $3,000 now.
I think Milky513 said, best prank I ever pulled. I pranked my office and filled his office full of balloons from floor to ceiling. My previous boss, I wrapped his desk and everything on it. And I mean everything. Pens, paper, lips, chairs, keyboard, everything. The best thing to do is flip rooms where you go in and you just turn everything upside down. Literally everything. I've done that to Tim on several occasions when he's on vacation. It does not make him happy.
One of my favorite, it's a very simple thing, but you get those Febreze spray things with the trigger, like the scent things, like you hold the trigger and it just, and you zip tie that thing shut and chuck it into somebody's dorm room and just run off.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or if there's a hall, like an enemy hall with lots, everyone has enemy halls, right? with lots of open doors, you just dress like a ninja and run through chucking Febreze grenades into every open room. Living the dream.
Empty Vial says, and plus in college, that's like almost essential. Empty Vials. Okay, thanks, Luke. I learned a valuable lesson today. Mentally abusing kids and making them cry while their hands are clean is definitely the way to make them stop fighting people.
His hands were very clean.
I'm glad he learned something today. He learned something about hygiene and the stupidity of fighting. Although it did remind me that word was once an insult. I had forgotten, and I've never forgotten since. All right. He says, by the way, I'm pulling your leg. I could care less.
I hate children.
I mentally abuse kids all the time. All right. Well, warning.
Warning.
We're about to move in. Let me update the chat here.
Warning.
Spoiler.
This is a
Filled-
spoiler-filled discussion of The Walking Dead.
season finale. I'm going to put spoiler-filled in all caps.
If you have not watched that episode, the last episode of the season, and you don't want spoilers, which I guess it's a spoiler to say that there's really not much to spoil, but if you don't want spoilers, go away. You may leave.
You may leave now.
All right. So I think we've given him adequate time to leave here. Empty Vial says the toughest lessons in life are best learned from someone who is going to laugh with you about it in the future. I think it's best learned from people that are laughing at you while you're in the midst of it. All right. So
I liked it. I liked the finale. Because I saw it at different pacing.
that may have something to do with it, but it doesn't change the fact that the last 3 minutes of it really blew.
I did like the episode up to the end. A lot of people said it dragged on. I can see a little bit of that. I would have rather skipped Morgan and Carol's whole storyline there. I don't think it needed to be an hour and a half long. That's for sure. That's for dang sure. But what I really loved about the episode was the acting was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Like Andrew Lincoln, like his slow fall from arrogant to desperate fear, like that was fantastic. And I hate that that's not what most people are going to remember about this episode.
Right. Yeah. And when I talk about hating the episode, I'm bypassing all that. Like I felt like the ending of it was so egregious it outshone all of that.
Absolutely.
But like the blank stare that he just had, where he wasn't looking at Negan in the end, and he wasn't looking at he was just looking at the ground with his mouth agape, and was just like his world went from so tiny to so huge in a matter of a half a day, thinking, well, we're just going to drive to the hilltop. We're going to kill Negan. We're going to be okay. Like this is a walk in the park kind of deal. The most ominous shot being when he got to the end of that road and it was blockaded by a bunch of the saviors stacked all up on cars and all that. And it was like, there are more people in that shot than there were in Alexandria before it got overran, probably. Like, and one of the things that's odd about the narrative within it is like you have Maggie who is suffering from whatever, like some complication, but it seems to have it feels like something that's going to be forgotten in the midst of all this. Like here she is sick to the point where they thought we have to get out and run to the hilltop with her. And now it's slowed down to where they're crouched in front of everything. And then there's going to be the fallout from whoever's going to get Lucille. And I just feel like it's going to be a forgotten element. It may not be, but it just feels that way.
But it ramped up the tension. We got to that scene, like my heart was like beating out of my chest. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so intense. Negan, I know you weren't a fan of like appearance wise, but I think the actor himself did
yeah.
Great job. But to end with the first person view, we don't know who got the bat. Like that's.
Is there any?
You told me before the episode started, this is how it's going to end, and I said
Not because I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just knew how they do us, and like I was like, they better not do that. That would be stupid. They won't do that. And they did it, and it was stupid, and I hated it.
Was there anybody in the line that you would actually miss? I mean,
Oh yeah, lots of people.
If they kill someone just like the minor characters, like Rosita or whoever that random dude was, like I don't. Why make us wait for that? So it needs to be someone.
I like Rosita. I don't want her to die.
And I think it'd be really dumb if they offed Abraham because they just bought him 2 episodes. Like, why do you need to buy him 2 episodes?
Yeah. So spoiler alerts too if you read the comic. So just be ready.
True.
Like we're spoiler filled.
Filled to the brim.
To the brim with spoilers. Yeah, Abraham was supposed to catch that arrow through the back of the head a couple episodes back.
Denise, though. You can always feel when someone's going to die because they had this like triumphant revelation of like, yes, it might be Eugene because he had this triumphant moment with Abraham. It could be either one of them.
But my whole problem with it was like, there are a lot of people. Let's just say that 70% of the Twitter reactions to the episode were negative reactions. Like, fans overwhelmingly hated this episode. I know some of you did not, and that's fine, but most did. Its Rotten Tomatoes score, Walking Dead's usually in the high 80s, 90s per episode, but this one was 40 something. Reviews on IMDb usually 8s, 9s. This one was 4, I think. People did not appreciate what they did, and the rebuttal that I've heard a lot when I express my upsetness toward it is, well, shows do cliffhangers all the time. I'm not upset that it's a cliffhanger. Like, that's fine, whatever. Everything is a cliffhanger. I'm upset because, in my opinion, it is a bad cliffhanger. They had this build up all season. Like, we all knew this was coming. A lot of us knew. Like, even people who don't read the comics knew somebody's getting their head bashed in before this thing's said and done. And then no payoff. Just wait till next season. And they took this iconic comic book scene, just filled with emotion, and what they've essentially done is taken the emotion out of it. There's no way they're going to put me back in the state that I was in by the end of that episode and have me feel the same way I would have felt if they would have just killed the person on the screen. Like, by the time October rolls around, I'm not going to care. I don't care who it is anymore. I just don't. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be. I'm like, oh, okay. And in fact, it'll be a few days, maybe a week before I know, because I don't know that I care enough to keep watching the show, because this is becoming a common thing for them. Instead of good story, let's rely on cheap gimmicks to pull viewers in.
Yeah. Well, the whole Glenn thing was an elongating of something that ultimately ended up not mattering, driving a conversation that ultimately, and when I say this is all relative. Like, it's a television show. None of it matters. But in terms of the universe and the story, like, it didn't end up mattering. Like, he got out of it unscathed. And, did you already talk about your theory?
No.
Go ahead.
I wonder, I posed this question to you guys in a group text, but I wonder if what they did with Glenn at the dumpster and what they did with shooting Daryl at the end of the next to last episode was them gauging which character they could get away with killing the easiest. And I'm sold on what you said at this point. I was sold on who they killed, but now I'm in full agreement with you. I don't think they know who they killed yet.
Yeah, because
the thing with the theory is that we had probably 4, maybe even 5 episodes to deal with the Glenn thing. We had 1 to deal with Daryl, so I don't know if that was a really good gauging.
Yeah, but the initial outcry of the death is what matters, I think, not necessarily the time that we thought they were dead.
But I never thought of Daryl because of all the characters, he's probably the one that sells the most merchandise at Hot Topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, such a fire sale after that.
I'm pretty positive that they're going to kill who they killed in the comic. I think that's a done deal.
Yeah.
But I was telling you this earlier. I think Walking Dead has a great story to tell. And the issues with it that a lot of people have, like, I never hear anyone say that it's a bad story or bad show in that way. Like, it's always, there are too many episodes where nothing's going on. Yeah. It's not that they have a bad story to tell. It's that they choose not to tell the story in favor of just cranking out episodes to try to get more people to watch.
Like season 2.
Yeah. And I get that you've got to do stuff to make money, whatever.
There. And I think it really was, because it's like, we're still figuring out who we won't lose people over. Because I do think I think if they kill Daryl, I think people will fall off. Because there's this odd attachment to him, even though as a character he's not that interesting to me anymore. Like, he came full. I've told you guys this already, but he came full circle to me when he got the pasta maker for the couple. You know, like someone he would have been totally bigoted against. I'm going to do something like caring towards you.
He did that with Glenn. He started defending Glenn because. One of the first lines was him calling him Chinese. He's like, I'm Korean. And then, they became friends. And he was like, no, he's Korean.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that when that happened.
He also did that. So, I don't know. I feel like they're not going to kill off Daryl because of all the characters. He's probably the one that sells the most merchandise at Hot Topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, such a fire sale after that.
I'm pretty positive that they're going to kill who they killed in the comic. I think that's a done deal.
Yeah.
But I was telling you this earlier. I think Walking Dead has a great story to tell. And the issues with it that a lot of people have, like, I never hear anyone say that it's a bad story or bad show in that way. Like, it's always, there are too many episodes where nothing's going on.
Yeah.
It's not that they have a bad story to tell. It's that they choose not to tell the story in favor of just cranking out episodes to try to get more people to watch.
Like season 2.
Yeah. And I get that you've got to do stuff to make money, whatever, but you can only rely on cheap tricks for so long, like, before you start alienating people. And I've seen a lot of people alienated by this episode. And there are a lot of people like, oh, whatever, you'll be back in the chair come fall. But I think there are a lot of people who very seriously, this is it. They're done. Like, I jokingly used the term jump with the shark earlier, but I've seen that thrown around a lot with this episode. Like, just these stupid cliffhangers that are unnecessary, don't add anything to the story. It's dumb. And it's forced me and a lot of people on the Walking Dead subreddit, I noticed, like, people are beginning to look back at the show with more critical eyes in light of this episode.
Yeah.
They're like, what were they really doing there? Like, a lot of us are still watching just because we've spent so much time watching this show. Like, I've been watching it since the series premiere. And that's not a good justification for continuing to watch something.
Yeah. Well, and I think this conversation is going to be a lot less prevalent in a couple of years. Well, just from distance, but also because on Netflix you'll be able to say, continue watching to the next season and immediately have that question answered. But like you said, they took the most iconic thing and they ripped it completely away from its emotional pull at the end of it. And I just think the comics are paced so well narratively. Even if you're waiting 3 weeks between issues, but there's so much that happens within it. And yeah, there was something character-wise happening within Rick in that episode, but they even left us on a cliffhanger with Morgan and Carol meeting, those people. Like, who are those people? And, like, there was no question that was answered, so there was no resolve left within it. Like, and to me, it's almost like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing, where if they go with the comics, and there's so many comic readers that watch this show now, it's like you made us wait till October to just do what you already have done, or they kill off another one of the characters, and there's really only one other option we care about to the extent that it's really going to move us. Maybe two, maybe Abraham.
And that's what, like, once again, that's what I hate about this cliffhanger, removing the emotion. It's not going to move me when it comes, Like, oh, that's who they picked. Well, that sucks.
Because is it going to be the first shot? Is it going to be the first scene? Is it going to be...
I'm convinced it's not going to be the first episode.
No, I feel like it's going to open up on Morgan arriving with the dudes in the padded gear. I think it's going to be that.
Yeah, that's going to be stupid.
It'll be either an episode of Side Story, or I think it was you that said, maybe it was Ben that said, I can't remember who said this. Maybe it was you. I don't know. But, like, we're fast forwarded and we're seeing how they're living now under Negan, and we just, like, you slowly go through the episode figuring out, like, slowly trying to figure out who it is that's missing and who they've all been impacted by. Like, I can see them pulling that, and that's just dumb. Like, I think that it won't even happen in the first episode. Gimple said that it would, but they lie to us all the time. Like last season when so many characters were going to die in the season finale. But if it does happen in the first episode, it's going to happen right at the very end.
So in terms of the ending, I don't know, you may have talked about this when I was at the bathroom. Because I think we all agree, like, overall the episode was really good. It's just all overshadowed by those last few minutes. Like, how do you feel about the ending?
Do you have a comment?
I've been
saying I was curious what you thought.
Because you liked the episode. But
I did, but because I had to realize about what the pacing. It's like, yes, it was an hour and a half show, but I saw a breakdown when someone was saying there was actually longer commercial breaks. So when you think about it, like, for an hour and 15 minutes, you guys just watched them driving around in an RV. And then it was the last 10 minutes where something happened. Yeah, the payoff is super low. And that's going to rub people the wrong way. And I didn't have that experience because we watched it on Vudu the next day. The ending didn't bother me because a while back I've kind of had to realize that this is a manly soap opera. And they're always going to do stuff like this to us. And when I look back, who's the one person that I would care to miss? Well, the person's not even a part of the lineup. So I'm not really...
Carol.
Yeah, I'm not really, like, holding on to it. Will I continue watching? Yeah. am I constantly like looking at Reddit or something like that, trying to figure out people finding like, oh, this is where he was when he said this. Here's the tree. Look at this angle. I'll just wait for it. So
Oh, yeah, I don't
I'm very
care.
indifferent.
Yeah, I don't care to that extent. I'm not going through like a frame by frame breakdown.
And now that we know that most of it was filmed without him even with the other people, all of those things are worthless.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Because there's no way they were mapping out who was sitting where so that he would be standing in the right place. Like,
Yeah.
stop wasting your time on that junk. What was I going to say? Do you remember what I was going to say?
Well, for me, while you think, for me, that's something you do like season 2, where you're still not sure of your audience, but like people are coming back to watch season 7, so just do it. Like, it's gonna be fine.
Are you going to lose a handful over who you kill? Maybe.
But you're also losing a handful over doing this crap.
And the reality is, eventually you are going to kill one. You're still going to lose whoever you were going to lose for that, and you already lost some for not having the courage to do what you needed to do as a
Until they
storyteller.
just killed Dwight. Negan's bashing Dwight's head.
I saw somebody say, "What if the twist is it's Negan? Like he's just bashing his own head."
Taking it like a champ. The thing I hate about Negan is how much I like Negan. Like, he's very charismatic, very like. He's just got a character about him that the governor lacked. The governor was just like, I don't like him at all, even in the comics. Yeah,
I didn't want to throw that word out. I didn't want to throw that word out to, because that's a big spoiler because we have yet to experience it yet.
Yeah. Did you remember? Was that what you were going to say?
I can't remember, man.
I can't
It's
remember.
gone. Just we saw a little bit of The Talking Dead just because it was on TV while I was like destroying Twitter. Like, if any of you follow me on Twitter, I'm really sorry about that night. It was a bad night. Like, I retweeted everybody, but Gimple, the way he talked about it as though it was some big storytelling device, like the pride they had in this episode, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that whole explanation was bogus. Like, this was about a story ending, and the next is about a story beginning. I'm like, what's more final than getting your head bashed in?
Yeah, how many stories start with death? Not many.
I guess the ending didn't affect me very much because I had already emotionally removed myself from the Glenn incident with the dumpster. That they forced us to have to deal with this for many episodes, and I'm like, we knew he was fine. The dumpster. So I've already kind of detached myself because they're always gonna. Someone's always got to die. We'll just have to wait to see who it is. Everybody's time will be up inevitably.
Yep.
Like, if I keep watching regularly, it'll be because you guys just keep getting together to watch it, and I'm there to hang out. If, like, there are times where Jess and I went out of our way to buy the episodes. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, if we couldn't get together on Monday and watch whoever DVR'd it, like, we'd purchase the episode on Xbox or iTunes. Not anymore. Like,
Yeah.
there were a couple times we did that. We're like, oh, that was an okay episode. I wish we didn't have to buy it. I'm not going to trust to buy another episode of that show.
Mad Brock says a lot of people think that Gimple's ego has gotten too big for the show, and that's why he did this. Although a big ego would be like, we're killing 6 people tonight. And we're going to get away with it.
Yeah.
Well,
It can also manifest this way of,
yeah.
I'm the best storyteller. Look at this great device I used.
Yeah. All right. Well, Seth's about to come over.
Cool.
So we're going to get out of here.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say
Oh, here
way
we go.
earlier. You said it was a manly soap opera. George Romero, King of the Zombies, and you can argue this, but I'll win. Inventor of the flesh-eating zombie genre.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
It actually started with the ghoul genre years before.
well, technically,
Kidding.
technically, Romero set out to make a ghoul film. He never calls them zombies, but
Yeah.
culture attributed that to them. But
I think it's pronounced zombies, by the way.
you're right. He hates The Walking Dead. He said that because it's just a soap opera with zombies. I guess you hadn't seen that.
I hadn't seen it.
And a lot of people are like, what does George Romero know about zombies? It was back in season 2, and I'm like,
People said that?
child.
Child calm. Child calm. All right.
Oh my God.
Boys and girls, we're going to get out of here. Seth's telephone number, if you want to hit him up tonight while we're hanging out, 276 638 2